All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another episode, another weekly on-air episode of the best place for debating hoops. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
Yup.
No doubt.
The three-man weave. You see, you got Sean over here, yours truly, myself on the ones and twos on the board. You know, my co-host Brendan Clark and Josh C. Martin doing their thing as always. So, fellas, how's the week been treating you before we dive right in?
We ain't gonna talk about that.
Oh, it's been rough.
It's looking like sleep for me, so I'm happy.
Oh, okay.
It's looking like a loss of sleep for me.
I already had like 2 weeks consecutive straight, but I'm all right.
Yeah, it's just been somewhat in between for me too. I don't know when it's gonna let up, but as of right now, what is about to turn up is these playoffs for the NBA. And as we all know, most teams, well, actually all the teams, well, actually no, most teams have one game left. Some teams may have two remaining, and right now we have a little race for the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference coming down to the wire pretty much. It's nip and tuck. Here we have the Miami Heat, who still have a fighting chance. Probably the least of the three teams that I'm going to announce. We have the Heat, the Nets, and the Indiana Pacers. So right now, the Nets have one game remaining, and that is against the Magic at home, while the Pacers have two remaining games, and they play the Wizards. They host the Wizards first, and then are on the road at the Grizzlies. And in the Heat, perhaps the easiest last remaining game, that they have one remaining game, which is against the Philadelphia 76ers. So given these circumstances, guys, we have this current situation is the numbers favor the Indiana Pacers, because in order for them to make the playoffs, they literally just have to win one
game, right?
Yeah, one or both of these games. In order for the Nets to make the playoffs, the Nets would have to win their game, and Indiana must lose both of their remaining games. And in order for the Heat to actually make the playoffs, they have to win this last game at the 76ers, and then the Pacers would have to lose both games, and the Nets would have to lose their last remaining game.
Mm-hmm.
So, safe to say, like I said before, as far as the numbers, the Indiana Pacers have the advantage, clearly. However, the toughest remaining schedule out of all three of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
So now the question is, what's going to pan out? Who's going to capture that 8th spot?
Honestly, well, being a Miami Heat fan, I would love to see my boys in the playoffs, but I don't think that's going to be a realistic possibility. So I guess we'll just wait until see the lottery and see what happens, and wait till the off season. But I think, if anything, I think the Nets would actually win the AFC.
I'm thinking that too,
because they can beat the Magic. The Magic they're gonna have, obviously the Magic's gonna play hard. They're gonna bring their best play out and end on a good note. But at the end of the day, Brooklyn Nets have too much experience on that team to fall to a team like the Magic. I mean, it would be really a shocker to me if they lost to the Magic. And then the Pacers, for them to beat Washington, and Washington's been on fire recently. They're getting their groove back together because they want to make a strong push going into the playoffs. So I don't know if Indiana has enough power right now to knock over John Wall and the boys. So I don't think that's going to happen. Or even the Grizzlies. Even though the Grizzlies, they have been plagued with a few injuries now, with Conley and Tony Allen and now Marcus Gasol. I still don't think at the end of the day that the Pacers would have enough to knock the Grizzlies off if they play the way that the Grizzlies are known to play. So honestly, I think at the end of the day, I think the Nets will win it.
I see the Pacers getting at least 2 wins, especially if both teams, since the Wizards and the Grizzlies are definitely going to the playoffs already, if they're the type of team that's gonna let their team rest and not have to go all hard for this last couple of games or this last game, whatever it is for their schedule, then I would say that the Pacers could win both and then basically guarantee it. But I would say that I would stick in the Nets too, because they have a favor. Just win one game, and then the Pacers could definitely fall to the Grizzlies. That's definitely a high possibility.
Yeah.
And so is it for the Wizards. It's just not in there. It's a not to say entirely crazy tough schedule, but you're playing against great players. But if you want to put up the argument with injuries, if the Grizzlies happen to set people out, the Pacers could get a W. And the Magic, they beat the Bulls the other day.
Yeah, but the Bulls
Island
were
Depot
struggling.
with the 3, yeah, but I mean with the quick layup by Island Depot. But I mean the Magic is a young team. They could beat the Nets, but the Nets, like you were saying before, are more experienced. The Heat, it would have to be a long shot. But if the only thing is the Pacers could win, if they sit their players down ready for the playoffs, and the Nets could win by just this one game with the youthful team that the Magic already has right now.
Yeah, I mean the only reason why I don't think the Grizzlies will set out any players because if you take a little preview at the West, the Grizzlies can't really afford that right now. I mean, they are locked into the playoffs, but if they want to talk about seeding, they can't rest anybody. They have to make a strong push.
Yeah, I was thinking that too myself.
So that's why I think it's going to be a tough victory for Indiana to go into Memphis. And everybody knows when you go play in Memphis, it's not an easy thing. So I don't know if we can go into Memphis when Memphis is fighting for a preferable seeding for themselves in the West to be like, okay, yeah, we're going to sit players out and rest our guys. And then the Pacers come in and beat them. And now the Grizzlies could possibly have an unfavorable series in their first round.
I feel like where they go is going to be unfavorable.
I mean,
because if they win one game, then they'll be tied with Houston, for 55 wins in the season.
Yeah, but see that's the thing though. They have their season series. I believe it's a deadlock. I believe they're even. So then, it's now up to another team. You know, that's why the West from 2 to 6, the seedings are not locked. So I mean, anything could happen. So I don't know if the Grizzlies will be like, I don't know. It depends on the Grizzlies whether they want to rest guys and just take the loss or take the L, and decide to go on and try to find their footing in the playoffs and said we'll take whoever we face. But I don't think the Grizzlies will do that. I think they'll be like, you know what, let's try to get the best seeding we can and play a team that we're probably more favorable of beating in the playoffs compared to just like, you know what, let's give it up and we'll face whoever we face in the West, because in the West that matters.
I see that they are 5 games ahead of Dallas for the 7th seed. I mean, even though they're in the 6th seed,
Yeah.
they're 5 games ahead of Dallas. That's who is in the 7th seed now.
Yeah.
And I guess with those standings already, like Sean, you said there's like only a couple of games left in the season for like at least each team.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Memphis won't even get too close, because if they're playing the 7th seed, if they're 7th seed, they'll play San Antonio. That's bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't want that.
I just see them already, even if they got into some type of slow streak, they're playing the Clippers. I think
the Grizzlies have 1 game left, actually. I think 1 or 2 games left. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they can't fall to the 7th. But if you think about...
it'd be hard to.
It's impossible if you only have 3 games left. I mean...
Yeah.
I think it's actually 2 games left. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they face San Antonio, but if you look at the top 4 seeds in the West, when you have...
There's Golden State, San Antonio, the Clippers, and Portland.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't know if this would be more like a throwaway game for them.
Yeah, there's only 1 game left for Memphis.
Yeah, so I don't know if this will be a throwaway game for them. I mean, if they want to talk about health and like, you know what, we got to look more at the playoffs, then yes, of course, rest your starters, give your bench a little bit more playing time, and see what happens. But I don't know. They may play like a pop type way and say, you know what, let's rest my guys, and we'll deal with that so we can get a little healthy going into the playoffs. So, but I don't know if that's it. That game can go 50-50 to me. That's a 50-50 toss-up game for me. But Washington, I don't see them resting their guys. They're young, they're gunners. They're gonna go after this game and close out on a good note and go into the playoffs with a win. And it's gonna help them. It's gonna help them in their confidence going there. So I don't know. I don't think the Pacers will wind up winning both their games.
You don't think they're gonna win any of the 2? You think they're gonna go 0-2?
If they're gonna win any of the 2, it would have to be against, to me, their case to win at Washington. I mean, to win against the Wizards, is if the Wizards sit out their guys and everybody don't play the way they're supposed to. That's how I think they'll beat the Wizards. The same thing for the Grizzlies. For the Grizzlies, they can attack the fact that the Grizzlies have injuries, and the players may want to sit their starting lineup out so that they can rest and get healthy. So honestly, out of the two games, I would have to lean more toward Grizzlies of them winning than the Washington Wizards.
So is these last a couple of games gonna really see what the bench could do before the playoffs? Like getting their legs fresh, making them start, so they can get ready for the playoffs? Because they're important just as the starters.
Of course. I mean, for which team though? For Washington or for Memphis?
Any team that's coming up these last couple of games.
All right. So let's say when the Pacers face Washington, I would play John Wall probably. I'll probably have my whole starting lineup about a 20-minute restriction. So that way my bench plays more of the game. They get used to being out on the floor, being a little bit fatigued, having to push through their droughts. So that when the playoffs come, they get a little taste of what it's like. So that when the playoffs come and it happens to them, it's not an unfamiliar territory for them. For the Memphis Grizzlies, like I said, for them to rest their starting lineup, get a little healthier there. Also, their bench, it will help tighten up that unit, allow them to know how to play against some of the starters on the opposite team, how to compete against starters, how to have more chemistry, understand how people flow, and it'll be better for them. But honestly, I could see that in a lot of these games, especially those teams that are not worried about losing a seed or anything like that, they will play their bench more.
All right, so for Sean, just asking you the same question, like whose bench, at least for the Pacers schedule against the Pacers and Wizards and Pacers and Grizzlies, whose bench do you think is going to win? Because I think that's the main factor. If you're going to rest people, it's going to be the starters. So you're just going to lean towards the bench more.
So whose bench?
Even though you might not know the players, like just maybe think about in general, putting the standings into consideration. Just who do you know?
Well, in terms of the Grizzlies bench, I know you have guys like Kalatis, Vince Carter, Jeff Green. I believe he doesn't start, does he? No.
I want to say yes, he does. I believe he does. I'm not 100% sure on that, though.
Oh, bench. Okay, Jiggity's over there assisting me. Shout out to Jiggity. But yeah, so yeah, they have clearly the deeper bench. So I feel like that game honestly is a long shot because, like you said before, Memphis still has something to play for. The season's not over.
I mean, Washington still has something to play for, too.
Well, how much can... Well, I have the standings right here in front of my face.
You got the Wizards.
The Wizards?
They are 5 games ahead of Milwaukee.
Yeah, but how many games they are behind the Bulls for the 4th seed?
Oh, it says, for me right now, I see Bulls at 3, but I don't know if this how accurate this is. I just took this from ESPN.
It is. Yeah.
Bulls are at 3, right?
They're 3 games ahead of...
Yeah.
From the Bulls, all right, let's go to the 4th because they're facing a Toronto. Toronto's ahead of them in the 4th seed by 2 games.
Okay.
Chicago's 3 games ahead.
Okay. I mean, it's okay. So yeah, Washington may not have much to play for, but I still don't see. I guess with a young team, it's pride they play for. So I don't think they'll just throw the game away. Plus, also you can't forget, Washington's bench does have veterans on there. They mix it up with veterans and young guys, so that's gonna help them as well.
All right. Well, yeah. So ultimately, you're going with the.
I'm going with the game that they will probably lose is to the Washington Wizards.
No,
and
but
they'll
I'm
probably
saying,
win against the Grizzlies.
Ultimately, you're saying the Nets are going to make the playoffs. So you're
yes, I think the Nets will be the eighth and final seed in the East.
Okay, so you're saying that the Pacers will lose both of those games. That's your prediction.
Both? Yeah, I can see both.
And I believe Brendan agreed with
Definitely
you.
one. Definitely at least one. But both is very possible.
Well, okay. Well, they have to lose both for the Nets to get that 8 seed.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say they'll lose both.
Which I personally think is highly unlikely. You know what I mean? But that's just me. I love how none of us gave the Heat a fighting chance.
I know.
I know.
Yeah,
that's my team, but
I mean, yeah, they could be the 76ers. That's fine.
It's a long shot.
I mean, it's 3 other games to consider.
Yeah, that's a long shot. Now, I mean, you talk about the Pacers losing both games. The Pacers have to lose and the Nets have to lose their remaining games for us to get in. And even if we get in, we still have like a lot of big pieces. Like Bosh is still going. We don't know how much we could rely on, put that much pressure on Wade at times. So I mean, it's gonna be a bit of a struggle. We're a bit banged up. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if pushing ourselves too hard to make that 8th seed just to face Atlanta, and possibly, and let's say we get out. Let's say we beat Atlanta, we would face the winner of what was the Toronto and Chicago, I believe.
Yeah, Toronto and
No,
not Toronto and Chicago. As of right now, it would be Toronto and Washington.
Okay, see,
it would be Toronto and Washington.
Yes,
if the playoffs were to start today. But yeah, I mean,
so I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to be a lottery team either.
It's a pride thing, I think.
It's a pride thing, you know,
because you were just in the playoffs. I mean, the finals for the last 4 consecutive years.
But then we also had LeBron James, and
but did y'all see how
he took about half our bench with him?
Basically,
he took half our bench with him. So
did y'all see how like the Boston snuck into the playoffs though?
Yeah.
Which I mean, the thing is though, like I want to take into consideration about this whole bench deal and how players are being sitting down, like starters are sitting down. I don't know who played, because I know they played against Cleveland.
Yeah.
On the 10th of this month.
Oh yeah,
they beat They beat Cleveland 99-90, and then 2 days later they beat them 117-78.
Yeah.
If anybody watched that, what happened?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what happened.
I'm just saying they got smacked.
Yeah, no, the numbers are very misleading. LeBron, Kyrie, and Love all sat that game out.
Okay,
so they weren't there, and the Celtics had their full starting lineup.
And J.R. Smith sat out too.
I don't remember. Yeah,
it's factors like that where we'll see.
Yeah, that's
who's gonna win.
Yeah,
those
numbers look that's thing crazy. And that's the thing though. I don't understand why the Celtics made such a push to make the playoffs. I mean, I understand.
I give them credit.
I give them credit too. I'm like, yeah, you want to get them young guys talent, but I'm like, okay, your team is still not there yet. You still need to improve. You have, I think, 12 picks over the next 5 years or something like that. First round picks. I mean, why push yourself? Why don't you just try to, I guess, lack of a better word, tank?
I mean, now
and go get to the lottery and see if you get a great player.
When did the coach for Butler come in? Because I mean, it just shows
during the off season.
This year?
Yeah, he started this whole season with them.
This year is his first whole season with the team.
Yeah, this is his rookie year.
I mean, if he's getting his team to the playoffs,
I mean,
whatever. Even though with 38 wins, I mean,
yeah,
he's doing good. They're gonna hire him. That's great for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great hire, you know, especially with a lot of young guys coming from college going there, and he has a college coach mindset how to coach these young guys up. It's great for them. So
yeah, but think about it. You said why don't they tank? How many other teams? Well, Philly and the Knicks. They're tanking too. You know what I mean? I don't think you can get much worse than the Knicks if you tried.
Actually, you got Minnesota. Minnesota and the Knicks are actually at the lowest. They tied for the worst records, but the Knicks actually seem like now they don't want to tank. They want to win out, which makes no sense to me. I'm like, at this point, just lose.
Yeah, it would
just
be stupid.
lose.
They beat the Hawks yesterday.
Yeah, I mean I'm like, why are you winning now? You should have did this about a month ago.
Turn over the ball on purpose. Dribble the ball back court.
Don't even show up on the court. Don't show up to the game. Like, just take the L and go to the lottery and get that top pick.
Shoot threes one-handed with your left hand or something. Yeah. Do everything you can.
Dribble with your kneecaps. I don't know what to tell you. Like, just don't do it. Like, do every violation possible and send them to the free throw line for the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, but so right now we got two co-hosts that say the Nets will make it. I personally say Indiana. Better luck next year, Miami. Yeah, and that is it for segment 1.
Season.
R.I.P. to your season. Wish you guys had Shaq, don't you?
Nah, I wish I had LeBron back.
Well, we'll be right back, though, with 3-Man Weave. And next we're going to dive into similar circumstance, but this time dealing with the opposite conference, being the West.
The real conference.